Happy Sunday, and hopefully you keep it positive and have a good rest of the night, right? Now that we're entering into 2025, I'm not sure if any of you guys know or care to know or have wondered about like the new laws that may take place, or maybe even if you voted too, you know what I mean? Hold on. Let me know if you even voted too. Like I was here, I voted on some things. It wasn't just about the presidency, which a lot of people would think, right? It's about a lot of different laws that you could vote and you can make an effect on. You could probably change or even help out. Maybe you're in a situation and it was your time to kind of be like, hey, maybe I can make a difference about this, right? And hopefully it will change for the better. Well, let's check them out. Let's get into this and let's see what they have in store for us in the upcoming new year with the new laws. And I'd like to hear your feedback about would this help you? Would this hurt you? Do you agree with it or do you disagree with it? Let's check it out.
Hello, I'm
Hello.
Laura Painter.
So,
Starting
Laura.
January 1st, many new laws will go into effect in California, impacting everything
All
from
right.
your bank account to housing and much more.
Let's see how it
Let's
will
start
affect
with
us.
a law that's already been in place for more than a
Bye bye.
year, but come January, you'll be fined for violating it.
All right.
ABC 10's Devin Truby explains daylighting.
With a new year brings new laws to follow.
It feels like that pedestrian came out of nowhere.
We've all said it, and this law, commonly referred to as daylighting or crosswalk parking restrictions, is designed to keep pedestrians safe. It took effect in January 2024, but only warnings were given. In January 2025, you can now be fined for parking in prohibited areas. Here are the rules of daylighting.
What's
You
the
can
rules?
no longer park within 20 feet of a crosswalk or 15 feet of a crosswalk with a curb. An important note, this applies to the area leading up to the crosswalk. Once you drive through it, you can park along the street next to it.
This new law, starting in January
All right.
1st, people who park within that 20 feet can be ticketed, even if the curb isn't red and there's no signage.
If you want to see an example of changes made for the new
Show us an
law,
example.
look no further than the Broadway corridor. 20 feet of red painted curb before you get to this crosswalk. The city of Sacramento says this is just one of the areas in the region
All right.
that's already received the new treatment in order to increase safety for pedestrian and cyclists.
Well, it's for
More
the
room
safety,
pedestrians
then all
to
right.
come out and see cars
Right?
coming,
Can't go wrong with that.
and more room for drivers to see the pedestrians.
Jennifer Rubin is with Safe Kids Sacramento and believes this law will help keep pedestrians safe.
Kids are just shorter and smaller and harder to see, and also less predictable, right? They're more likely.
I mean, I'll say so too. Like it will like help. You know what I mean? Especially with little kids and stuff like that. When it comes to over here, mostly around like Los Angeles area, maybe around where I live too, on certain streets where it's like really like populated. You know what I mean? There's like always cars like parked like crazy. You know what I mean? Especially if, yeah, like I'm saying, if you go around like L.A. area, right? There's a lot of people there, and you gotta park where you could park, right? But now because of this new law, a lot of probably people gotta find new parkings, or you just gotta face the situation, or else get fined.
To run out or not be paying as close attention. And so as much as we can do to teach kids to look both ways and pause for traffic, it's also good to give drivers a head start to see them.
The move to start fining violators also comes at a time when Sacramento City Council declared a state of emergency regarding pedestrian safety after a report revealed in the last decade there have been over 5,000 collisions involving bikes and people and at least 264 preventable fatalities.
Is a traffic violence epidemic.
Kendra Ramsey with the California Bicyclist Coalition says she met with the city of Sacramento and was told their public works department was working to make the necessary changes.
This is one of those systemic measures that is applied throughout the entire roadway systems. No one wants to see a traffic collision.
Reporting Devin Truby.
Nobody wants to see it, and nobody wants to
The
be
city
in
of
it.
Sacramento says
From
the
experience.
current violation is $60. New fines
Oh,
would need to be
$60.
approved by city council.
Still, though.
California is now one of more than 40 states with daylighting laws. There are several new laws relating to employment. First, the minimum wage is going up 50 cents to $16.50 an hour.
50
Also,
cents, come
employers
on.
can no longer require you to use up to 2 weeks of vacation before you can start to use paid family leave benefits. And paid sick leave is expanding. People can
Nice.
use their sick time for time off if they or a family member are the victims of a violent crime.
Because of those reasons,
When it
man.
comes to housing and homelessness, Governor Gavin Newsom signed several new laws requiring cities and counties to better plan for housing for very low-income people. And as ABC 10's Jeannie Wynn reports, expanded some renters' protections.
All
The two
right.
bills would be pressed. All across the spectrum around streamlining, transparency, accountability, renter protections.
Of the dozens of bills signed by Governor Gavin Newsom, a portion of them addressed housing protections for people living in rentals.
We believe that they did provide a balance and in some cases are positive, certainly for both landlords and tenants.
The California Apartment Association provides education and legislative affairs for rental property owners and tenants. Some of the bills impacting the CAA, Assembly Bill 2801 regarding security deposits. While the CAA says it's already existing in the law, this bill allows for more clarifications.
What it will require
Alright.
rental property owners to do is do some proof. So when the tenant moves in, they're going to take pictures of the unit to show the condition that existed.
Assembly Bill 2747 will allow tenants with good rental history to be reflected in their credit scores.
Down the line, the next landlord will know that this tenant was a good tenant when it came to paying rent on time. So
That's
it's
good.
positive for both landlords and
Yeah.
tenants.
Senate Bill 611 prevents land.
See, I agree with that, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of us, you know, that really is on payments, or at least we're blessed to keep it that way, right? To have a living, a roof under our heads. But then you never know, a certain situation and a certain event happens where it kind of takes you out of that. You got to move, something happens to that spot, whatever the case may be, right? But you tend to go to another new spot. But of course, they don't ever know that, hey, you've been this sort of family that took care of business, that's always been on time, rather than having somebody else that, you know what I mean? Yeah, well, I mean, you don't know about, but if you have some sort of proof that these are people, like if you have a choice between these two people, but you know straight up this one person has always been responsible for this long time, but this other person could be questionable because you don't know, he could have a job, he could just not work, whatever the case may be. Who would you pick to live in your location, to be trustworthy in paying the rent? The one who will be constantly, that you know on record, pays it, right? Well, at least that would be me. Let's get back to
Landlords
this.
from charging renters a fee if rent is paid by check.
That, quite frankly, is something that we agreed with, and that's not necessarily a negative thing for rental property owners. We already have the right to charge a fee if the check bounces.
Lastly, Senator Tom Umberg's Senate Bill 900 addresses people living within a homeowners association, providing them protections regarding issues with utilities like gas and electricity.
What SB 900 says is, if the homeowners association board doesn't act, then the management company can start to act so that people aren't left in limbo.
Lawmakers and the governor
Yeah,
say the
stop
point of
being-
these bills is to provide affordable
letting
housing
people be in
options
limbo,
for
man.
Californians.
The housing crisis continues to be a top priority for the California legislature. Governor Newsom signed dozens of bills set to take effect in the new year. ABC 10's Devin Truby looks at two of them that'll make an impact locally.
All right.
Building anything in California is difficult.
The housing crisis continues to be an issue across the state. One solution is accessible dwelling units or ADUs, but building them is no small task, according to local contractors.
Building a single ADU is also, California's done better with making it more streamlined, but it's still very difficult.
SB 1211 was signed into law and takes effect in January to streamline the process. Currently, you can have no more than 2 ADUs on a property. The new law increased the limit to 8.
It's up to legislators to balance how that's all going to work with the communities. But for us in construction, obviously, we want to build. That's what we do for a living. So anything that helps us build is going to be good for our industry.
That's
It
good,
also
right? If it's
streamlines
going
the
to work for
process
them,
by
man.
having less restrictions
That's
from
good.
local agencies on things like design.
Or homes at a more affordable rate. Family members can afford to move closer to home, and it's more work for contractors.
These new laws meant to help the housing market and the economy.
We have a massive
Hopefully it
housing
does,
shortage in California.
It's why Democrat Senator Scott Wiener is one of many legislators to author housing bills like penalties for cities not complying with housing laws.
Some cities, not most cities, but some cities have refused to follow state housing laws. And the existing law really doesn't hold them accountable because they can force a lawsuit from the state, and if they lose, there are no consequences to losing other than having to follow the law.
The senator says sadly there needs to be consequences. SB 1037 adds enforcement actions. If the attorney general has to sue a city for not complying with housing laws and the city loses come 2025, the city can be fined. Fines range from $10,000 to $50,000 a month plus court costs. That money then gets allocated for affordable housing in that area. Attorney General Rob Bonta
All right.
released a statement back in September thanking the governor and the senator for the new law. with SB 1037 violating our state housing laws and delaying or denying the homes that Californians desperately need can lead to more serious consequences than ever before. And let me be clear, my office will not hesitate to pursue those consequences when appropriate. Reporting, Devin Truby, ABC
She's
10.
determined to get down
Both
to
of
it.
these
If you
laws
guys
go into effect.
don't go through with it, she just said it. Hey, we're not scared to go investigate this. You know what I mean? But about housing in California, that's one thing I always wondered. I mean, I'm pretty sure it probably happens up north because I feel like there's more like land, open land areas, so you could like build your houses or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Or buy a certain acres and then build whatever you want on it, right? When it comes over here in Southern California, at least from what I've seen and so far been experienced, when it comes to houses, I have not seen in many years around here a house being built. Or I mean, a house could go vacant to sell a house, right? But just like I'm saying, building houses, what they've been building, at least from what I'm seeing, townhomes, apartment complexes. You know, it's gonna come to the point in time where I feel like it's gonna be like New York. You know what I mean? Just mostly just buildings, straight up buildings with people around here. At least this is what they've been doing right here where I live, which I've been working on a documentary about that. So you wanna, you know what I mean, subscribe, follow, because I'm gonna talk about that. How over here, you know what I mean, there's hardly no houses. They're building just what do you call it? Townhomes, apartment complexes. It's just getting overpopulated, bro. And they're taking off street lights, putting new street lights in certain places that does not make sense. Taking off one, like there used to be 2 lanes to go right or left, whatever. Just take out 1 lane, make it as a bike route. There's not even bikes doing it, and then the people on the bikes, they're still not even following the sort of rules that they're supposed to follow by. So it's crazy, man. But what do you think about that? You know, me personally, I want to have a home. I want to live in the house, you know, and especially like, just that front back pad, at least yard, having a garage, that sort of thing, or a big house, you know what I mean? But I'm a simple old school man. I mean, who doesn't want to have a big mansion to live in and all this sort of things, right? But if I could just have a house, front or backyard with it, with the garage, I'll be a happy guy, brother. You know? Let's get back. Let's get back to this.
Combating retail theft has been a top goal for lawmakers this year. Now they hope 10 new laws will do just that. The laws give law enforcement more tools to push back against organized retail crime. We see it across the state.
Yeah.
Retail theft hitting stores large and small. But on January 1st, 10 new laws will take effect, aimed at cracking down on smash and grabs and closing loopholes.
And they will address the challenges that are well outside the purview of previous initiatives and laws like Prop 47.
Among the new legislation, a major crackdown on theft rings, allowing district attorneys to add up the value of thefts from different stores in different counties to reach the $950 threshold for grand theft, which McGeorge School of Law
that would make sense to add up everything that's been going on.
Will bring a stiffer penalty.
They're also trying to basically aggregate where somebody has engaged in retail theft in multiple jurisdictions, that they can aggregate those offenses and prosecute them in one county.
Other laws create sentencing enhancement for selling stolen property valued at $50,000 or more and allows law enforcement to arrest a retail theft suspect without actually witnessing the crime.
Perpetrators who are looking to skirt our laws and exploit potential loopholes, those days are over. Those loopholes are closed.
Another law increases penalties for car break-ins and auto theft and creates a new crime for possessing stolen property taken during a vehicle theft or unlawful entry of a car.
These 10 laws address gaps that made it more difficult for law enforcement and prosecutors to bring perpetrators to justice.
In November, voters approved Prop 36, which is also aimed at tackling retail theft. ABC 10's Roxana Elias tells us why Sacramento County leaders believe this will actually make a difference.
And hopefully it does, right? I mean, I want to, of course, if I have kids, so I'm going to be like, don't steal. Work for your shit. You know what I mean? Whatever you want, hard work, dedication, and work for it. Don't try to do this or do that just because you seen or this or that. Or maybe you could get a slap in the hand, get away with it the first time, and won't happen again the second time. But I'm one that wants to be that sort of parent to be like, just don't do that. Period. You know what I mean? I mean, I wasn't perfect myself, but at the same time, the way I was raised, I'm not gonna raise my child to be that certain way. You know what I mean? We always want to get better as not only as we grow, But if we have family, we have kids, you know, we try to teach them better, right? So hopefully this could help out in the sense of not having all this craziness, and hopefully it could calm down and people just try to do right, man, and try to make a better world in the sort of sense of a way, right? It can't be perfect, but some stuff could, at least like this, hopefully can help out and lessen that sort of crime.
Section 36 goes into effect on December 18, 2024. We will be measured and fair, but make no mistake about it, we will hold people accountable.
Proposition 36, in effect Wednesday, allows for felony charges and increases sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. Sacramento County District Attorney Tin Ho promises it will mark a new era for law enforcement dealing with retail theft, drug addiction, and homelessness in the county. About a month ago, California voters approved Proposition 36 by nearly 70%. One of those voters, small business owner Alan Leatherby, who owns multiple Leatherby's Family Creamery locations. He says his store in Arden Arcade has been hit the hardest.
We'd have theft in our stores. We had regular people that would come in, you know, sometimes every single day and steal from us. And what do? And you call the police and they get right back out the next day.
Sacramento County Sheriff Jim Cooper says so far this year, they've arrested around 1,000 people for retail theft. And about 80 to 90% were given citations. But now with Prop 36, he expects a change in the behavior of reoffending.
Because it really changed.
Hopefully so, right?
Up until now, if you stayed below 950, you got a citation and didn't go to jail. Now, if you have 2 convictions, that third conviction becomes a law alert. It can become a felony. It really has some teeth into it.
Prop 36 also creates a new treatment-focused court process for some drug possession crimes. And it requires courts to warn people convicted of selling or providing illegal drugs to others that they can be charged with murder if they keep doing so and someone dies.
That's crazy, huh? I mean, not crazy, but it would make sense in certain ways, but...
And in the region with the other DA's office to set up protocols and procedures.
They're also...
Okay, like in that sense, right? If you're a dealer, whatever the case may be, whatever you're dealing, whatever, and you have this sort of client that you know comes around, that buys certain thing, you know, and what do you call it? You never know what he's been doing, if he's been doing it too much, whatever. But if you see a certain person, oh, everything's all good. Yeah, here's this or whatever. Just go ahead and do your thing. Next, you know, he does it. He dies. Then you're effed if you're that sort of dealer, but you had no knowledge. Sure, you shouldn't have sold that in the first place, right? But it's like, how could you know that? Not only that too, but what if you sold them weed, sort of say? They just say that, even though there's pharmacists, all this sort of things, you know. I mean, there's still people that buy stuff on the side, you know, for either good, for better quality or just the price range, right? The price difference. So if someone who sells weed gives a guy weed, next thing you know he dies. It's like, you know damn well he didn't die because of weed. He did some other stuff. So would that person be accountable because he was maybe under the influence of that fool's weed? Stuff like that kind of like makes me think, but it's kind of a trip. But at least it's someone that's selling a harder type of drugs, you know, maybe like heroin, fentanyl, all these sort of things. It's like, you know damn well that's going to hurt this sort of person. And this person's hurting and you're still feeding this person's habit. Hopefully that can stop it. But how will they know that's that person, though? Kind of a trip. Sorry. I was going to turn it on here, but I didn't know I realized I had the control.
Making retail theft resources available to businesses, such as sharing webinars. This is one of the warning signs businesses can request, which says this is a protected business and gives a barcode, making it easier to report crime.
I'm excited for, getting these businesses back up and going, especially I'm a advocate for the small family businesses, obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
The DA's office now has a page set up where you can learn more about Prop 36 and what it means. It also lists how business owners and residents can ask for assistance. We have a link on our website, abc10.com.
All right. I mean, how about the small businesses,
that'll affect your bottom line, from overdraft fees to subscriptions, even medical debt. Here are more laws to look out for in 2025.
All right. Let's see what's up.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau estimates 23 million households pay overdraft fees each year.
If I overdraw by 25, I don't just have to get the 25 back to even. I have to pay 25 to get it to even and then an extra 35. As you can see, that can really put somebody even further in the hole than they already are.
Now the state is trying to help you with 2 new laws. First, state-chartered banks and credit unions won't be able to find customers who go to withdraw money from their account but have insufficient funds. And if you're a credit union member, there's now a limit on how much they can charge for overdraft fees. These 2 new laws are aimed at protecting people with lower income.
It has been
Well,
affecting
that's good.
people in a negative
Whatever
way
is to
for a
help
very
people
long
with their
time,
income.
and for the purposes of penalizing folks that don't necessarily have the cash flow to pay for these penalties as well.
Both take effect on January 1st. Also starting on the 1st.
All right. See, one thing I'll say about that, this is why I don't like using credit cards, bro. I mean, well, debit cards, all that bank cards stuff. You know what I mean? I'm still old school. I like using physical money, bro. I'm a cash person. But at the end of the day, it's like when I used to use the card thinking, all right, you know what I mean, this new era, you know what I mean, something, this is the modern thing to do. But the times when I was doing it, like years ago, bam, 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 every place where you go and use your card, they charge you a certain fee. It could be a quarter, it could be 50 cents, even to $1, depending on where you go, location, whatever. They have their own sort of fees, right? So when I was doing this, going to place, I'll go back to my banks, like check my bank to be sure, like, hey, I'm good. Hopefully I'm in good standing, because I know each place has its own ways of deducting an extra fee. So when I check my bank statement, I'm like, all right, cool, I have this amount. But I know sometimes it could take time to deduct it, but it will show. And sometimes I'm like, okay, it's doing it. And then here I am still using it, not knowing I'm being overdrawn. Next thing you know, I'm getting a hit up by the bank or a letter or something, or when I go to the bank, or when I use my card again, it gets declined, and it's because of that reason. Because it keeps like withdrawing me here and there, blah blah blah, and it's not always accurate, or they just lag on it, or I guess just depending on the systems that they use, the places you do that business, right? Because I know some places can lag it more than others. But at least that's been my situation. That's why I've always been a cash person. And every time when I go to a certain spot and it's like, oh, we only do cards, no cash, I'm always skeptical about those places, man. But that's just me. How about yourself? Then check out the rest.
First, medical debt will not be included on your credit report.
That's good.
The law does not forgive your debt. It just keeps it off your credit reports. Medical debt can hurt people's credit scores and harm their chances of negotiating a loan or mortgage on favorable terms.
Also with the loan.
The law has a loophole and will not apply to debt charged to so-called medical credit cards. Click to cancel. This new law is supposed to make it easier for you to cancel your subscriptions. It requires companies to revise their automatic renewals to let you cancel using the same method you used to sign up for the service. A recent survey from CNET finds consumers are spending an average of $91 a month on subscriptions. It's over $1,000 a year.
Many of these providers are slowly notching up the price of their subscriptions. It's not a lot, it's just $1 or $2 per year for most of them, but that really starts to add up.
This new law takes effect in July.
Of course.
If you use food delivery services like Uber Eats and DoorDash, you'll soon be able to know more about the person delivering your order, like their name and their picture. This new law is
Their name, their picture, where they live, what the like, what's the hobby, what the dislikes. Hey, maybe it could be either single or not single. So that way it could be like a dating app too. Like, this person's single. All right, it's pretty. Let me try to hit on this person when he comes back. Try to start a conversation, hopefully, right? Nah, but I mean, I remember they used to do that with I think it was Uber or Lyft. I can't recall, right? When you used to see a certain person or whatever. But then they took it out because they realized, like, when people, if they know they're going to pick up a certain person, it could be their ethnicity, just their color, how they are maybe, then they won't even, they'll be canceling that stuff. So because of that reason, they took that off and it became what it is. Like, hey, whoever it is, you just got to go. You're not knowing no information type of thing. So that way you won't discriminate. But when it comes to this, you know what I mean?
designed
We'll
to
see how it
enhance
goes.
customer safety. It goes into effect in March.
Oh.
If you're planning on
And not only that too, if you're talking about Uber, Lyft, hasn't this happened to you? Because I'm pretty sure it's not a secret, right? Let's just say they do show a picture, the name of that person who's going to deliver to you, whether it be male or female. So they come, well, at least it happens just towards females, and this happened late at nights. So it'll be a female's name or a picture or something like that, and it'll come, next you know, but it's not a female, it's a guy. But me understanding and knowing, like, all right, she's probably with her man, this is probably her dude, she's in the car, he's the one coming now, because obviously it's dark, this sort of neck of the woods. A girl I'm pretty sure some girls out there put themselves out like that, and much love and respect, and be safe if you do that, all right? Because you're doing it for money, you're doing it to provide for your family. It's totally understandable. But you have these other ones that have that fortunate help with her boyfriend, could be a brother, I don't know, right? But it won't be that person that you see in the picture come out sometimes. It could be someone else. That happened to me several times. But I don't be like, oh, what's up with this and this and that. Like, nah, I understand, homie. You're looking out for that girl, whoever she was, and that's respectable. Let's get back to this.
Booking a hotel or grabbing concert tickets in the new year, there's a change that could save you money. A new federal guideline will eliminate surprise so-called junk fees. Take a look.
Junk fees.
Big changes on the way if you go online to book a hotel or buy tickets for an event. The Federal Trade Commission is finalizing a rule on so-called junk fees.
It's frustrating, and it's a time waster when you're trying to book a hotel or concert tickets online.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a great rate on a website, but by the time you check out, there are tons of added surprise costs like resort fees or convenience fees known as junk fees. Now, the Federal Trade Commission says a new rule will take the surprise out of the fun.
For you guys that go to concerts and a lot of hotels, does that happen? I mean, I spent time on several hotels, but I never get those sort of fees. Well, probably because I didn't party like a rock star that night, maybe, but it's quite interesting. You know what I mean?
Final cost, and could save consumers 53 million hours in wasted time searching for the total price, as well as about $11 billion in savings over a decade.
This should really provide the American people with just some more clarity and confidence so they don't feel like they're getting, cheated. This is really about saving people money and saving people time.
The new rule will get rid of junk fees by requiring that live event tickets, hotels, and vacation rentals disclose all pricing up front. The total price has to be displayed more prominently than any other costs. FTC Chair Lina Khan says this means you'll know exactly what you're paying from the start.
Whatever price you
That's the way it should be, man. This is the beginning.
No more mystery surprise fees at the very end of the process, which really cheat
Before I forget, how come they don't do that everywhere, man? That's one thing I've always say. You know, when you go to the market, 99-cent store, right? Well, it used to be 99-cent store. You would think, okay, 99-cent store. I got $1. I could go. Penny will get back to me. But nah. Add on the taxes with the 99 cents, it could be like, what, 110, 120, depending on what it is. And then you could be that homeless guy with $1, and it's like, I can't even buy nothing here in a dollar place. But why not just have the actual price of everything, what you're actually gonna pay? So therefore, you could afford it, especially someone who's like homeless and stuff like that, has some money, like, hey, I want to buy this, but yet they don't know the freaking what's gonna be the tax of it and stuff like that. Well, with everything across the board, not just food, cars, everything, like whatever price it is, how come it cannot be just saying that price? You get what I mean? Why the hidden taxes? I never understood that. But if somebody could comment me, acknowledge me about that, it'll be appreciated. Well, what do you think about it?
consumers and also punish honest businesses.
The rule, which officially takes effect around April next year, is part of a broader push from the Biden administration to lower costs as households have been plagued by stubborn inflation. Last week, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced the final rule to curb bank overdraft fees.
These junk fees have really proliferated across the economy, and I would want to make sure that future enforcers and future policymakers were taking on these junk fees across the economy.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has opposed the change, calling it nothing more than an attempt to micromanage pricing structures of businesses. But the FTC chair says she's confident it would hold up to challenges in court. Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
The new legislative session kicked off in December with a special session focusing on preparing the state for what lawmakers believe will be challenges with the Trump administration. Democrat lawmakers are prioritizing issues
like going to be interesting next 4 years,
immigration and legal protections. ABC.
For those of you who voted for Trump, like I'm saying, each one to its own. But we're going to see what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I didn't vote for Trump, you know.
As Devin Truby explains why state leaders are planning to make a big investment in the fight.
It all started with the California State Assembly swearing in Robert Rivas, a Sacramento State graduate, once again elected Speaker of the Assembly during a time his colleagues say they will need his strength.
Especially with changes in Washington that will put to test our shared California values.
New rules adopted at the start of the session
California,
limit the number
baby.
of bills Assembly members can introduce from 50 down to 35. Rivas promising the session will focus on the cost of living and audit of every department that has anything to do with housing. This is also the start of a special session called by Governor Gavin Newsom, who says it's to protect Californians from potential federal overreach ahead of the Trump administration.
If LGBTQ people come under attack, if hardworking immigrants are targeted, if women's reproductive freedom is threatened, we will fight back with everything we have.
That's good. In my opinion, that's good.
Newsom is working with lawmakers to establish a special $25 million litigation fund for the California Department of Justice. During his last term, California sued the Trump administration more than 100 times.
California has
That's just those California alone, more than
has
100 times.
Checkered past with the Trump administration.
I hate to be sued just one time.
Deeply concerned about making sure that we still have funding available for things like emergencies.
Newsom says he's looking to safeguard reproductive rights, marriage equality, the climate crisis, wildfire relief, and immigration. California Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher, who was also nominated for Speaker, says the special session is just Newsom posturing.
Gavin Newsom wants to run for president. That's what this is about. Is I want to fight Trump. I want to be the progressive darling. But here's the thing that is the real irony.
I'm not trying to be progressive, darling. I feel there's some truth to it, bro.
Struggling with the highest
You
cost
know?
of the nation. Highest unemployment.
At least to stand up for the people.
Insurance crisis, cost of living crisis, and we call a special session to what? Pay more government lawyers money to sue Trump? It's tone deaf.
The session will reconvene January 6th.
True, man. Anybody
According to the governor's
fighting
office,
Trump,
all of this proposed new legislation is
let
supposed
alone
to
like
make it to his desk
over the
to be
course,
signed into law by
you know.
January 20th, 2025. Reporting from the Capitol, Devin Truby, ABC 10.
Women will make up 49% of the state legislature this term, with 37 in the Assembly and 21 in the Senate.
All right.
Also making history, California State Senate Republicans will be majority women this year.
Ooh,
Thanks
I didn't
so
know
much
that.
for joining us. Remember, you can watch us anytime,
All right.
any day on your schedule.
So
free
that's the
on
California
ABC
new
10 Plus
laws.
streaming app, wherever you stream.
That's the California new laws for the year 2025. And from then on. And let's see how it goes, right? We just wanted to show this. Maybe you guys could check it out if you guys didn't know. Maybe it could hurt you. Maybe you would disagree. Maybe it could help you out. You know what I mean? If not yourself, maybe family or friends. But regardless, at the end of the day, this is what we got to look forward with the new laws. At least you know. Come back and check it out in case you ever get into some stuff. But I'd like to hear your opinions, your views about it, right? And yeah, we'll see what come about it. But hopefully you guys been having a good weekend. May a good week come. Get some good rest. Wake up positive. Wake up grinding. And stay focused on whatever it is that you do, all right? It's a good and evil world out there. And at the end of the day, we just, for those of us that's just trying to be happy, make a living, be with their families, and just enjoy life, much blessings. For those of you, keep your head up that's going through hard times. Stay positive. YouTube is not always about drama, negativity. There's always some positivity, motivations. So keep your head up, all right? And keep on grinding. Thank you for the love and support. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so. I got a gang of music. I got a gang of videos up in here that can keep you entertained, hopefully. Make your eyes open and give me your feedback, if anything. Let me know if I'm good or not and what I'm doing. If you like from what I'm doing, show the love and support. Much love. God bless until the next one, all right? A ratos.